Hello and welcome to the Limey and the Yank. My name's Andrew and I'm here with Gabriel, aka Stand in Stan, and fuck you, Gabriel, golf is a sport and they're athletes.
It is a sport. It's not an sport. Would you call it athletic sport?
Would I call what a sport?
Would you call golf? No, no, no. Golf. Okay. It's a sport. It is not an athletic sport. Would you call golf an athletic sport?
Yes.
Explain to me what athletic component is in
You dropped off for a second there. Can you say it again?
shit. You're going to have to explain to me what component of golf is athletic.
It's based around hip and core rotation, which is something that uses obviously your hip, but not only your hip, your glutes, but your latimus dorsi, your obliques, your just general core. In fact, I think the swing of the arms is more or less the least to do with it.
Mhm.
Not only that, but if you look at a golfer's workout routine, you'll see stuff like medicine ball slams. You'll see all manners of sort of things. I'm just going to get the exercises that I got up earlier just to do a bit of research. Um,
Sure.
okay, so seated rotations, hand walks. That's like walking on your hands. 90-90 stretches, lateral pillar bridge, as I mentioned, medicine ball parallel throws. They are so athletic that a common problem with golf is that because most people just dedicate one side, like you say, a right swing, that they actually end up with muscle imbalances on that one side, and they have to train the other side lots and lots just so that they don't look weird and deformed with one arm and one leg significantly bigger than the other.
Mhm.
Physio ball push-ups, dumbbell presses, those are all glute bridges. This is all stuff that comes into athletics. Not only that, but the whole premise of golf and the whole exercise surrounding golf is that you are moving multiple parts of the body in sync. The swing of a golfer doing his thing is remarkably similar to the same kinetic change. The same kinetic chain that a boxer uses when they punch, and I know that one for a fact because I'm a boxer.
Oh, so was that okay? So was that okay? Okay. So, all right. Yes, noted. Duly noted. They have to do a lot of exercises to get that swing right, and yet the swing there, other than the actual rotation, they are more or less stationary. They don't have to move around. There's no running involved. There's nothing that would be considered typically, I think, to the average person would be considered athletic, other than that swing, which I can only liken to. Um, Here again, I would not say that boxing and golf are equally as athletic as one another, even though, as you say, some of the mechanics are similar. I think boxing is far. You have to be far more of an actual athlete to do boxing than you do to be a golfer. You're not running around. You're not.
I
Go ahead.
can't play golf for shit. Like I can't
Yeah, but
I can't play I
yeah,
can't play
but
golf for shit. Like
all you would need to do really at the end of the day, I mean, if you wanted to be here's a question for you. What about playing pool or race car drivers?
I think pool is actually um, race car driving. I'd have to come back to you on because I really don't know much about that. But I can only speak for stuff that I've done. I think pool is a sport in the same way that professional Call of Duty is a sport. I think it's more
Mhm.
about your planning, strategy, and your skill with the game than it is like an athlete. Like I wouldn't really call a pool player an athlete, but that's because it's a very different. my my father-in-law is just across the room, and he plays pool, and he's a team captain, and he just shrugged at me. Um,
Oh man.
yeah, I wouldn't call like pool players athletes, but that's because like it's a completely different thing from golf. Like a pool
Well,
player
so
just
but in golf,
focuses on
okay,
the game.
so in golf, but see, I think that pool and golf were similar. And let me, by the way, let me say that I think that golf is a sport. I think pool is a sport. I think Call of Duty is a sport. I believe in esports. I don't think that something has to be physical. I would even entertain the possibility of chess being a sport. I know there's some debate about that, and poker and that sort of thing. So I don't take any issue with the sport part. What I take issue with, in a very tongue-in-cheek way, because I'm trying to start a frivolous argument here, is that the point, the idea in golf is accuracy of you're going to hit the ball, and yes, how hard you're, accuracy in being able to gauge distances. There's it seems to me anyway that the trigonometry of golf is a lot more important than the actual physical hitting part, like the actual like you hit a golf ball like unbelievably harder than anybody else, and it's not going to help you if you're not accurate. Same with like, oh, I could even bring up like target shooting and that sort of thing, which is also, it seems to me that that accuracy and that sort of thing and the trigonometry, as I say, is more important in golf than the actual athletic part of it.
That's true of every
I was
sport.
I yes,
I'm going to go
but
with what
go
you
ahead.
call what football, but what you call soccer. F-
Okay.
Football is obviously it's athletic because they need to be able to run for long periods of time. They need to be physically strong, in order to kick the ball far. But football is a game of maths. The football players themselves might not necessarily understand the maths and probably wouldn't be able to explain it to you, but they can definitely look at the ball, they can look at where they are, and they can look at where the goal is, and they know if they've got that shot just through experience. They're doing that maths without knowing they're doing the maths. And
Right.
obviously the whole team aspect of it, but that's all of it. Like say boxing, Thai boxing, stuff like that. Like I'm a Thai boxer. Like I know where my guard should be. I know where an opening is, and that I know when to land a push kick. I know how to force someone back onto the ropes. And say for me, especially because I'm a clinch guy, so
Mm.
much of my style is is clinch fighting and wearing people down, and that's the athletic part. But you do that with technique and knowledge, strategy. That's all part. Like fighters don't just train to be fit and then just go at it. They train for each other's styles.
Mm.
Like if you were to hypothetically train for Floyd Mayweather, you'd say, okay, well, what does he do well? Well, he defends well, but he's a counter fighter and he doesn't like when people feint jabs. He doesn't like when people fake punches. So the idea would be that you try and fake as many shots in order to get him to react to punches that aren't actually coming. That's all the mental aspect of the game, and that's all obviously going to be part of golf as well. But that doesn't mean that, like, if you do a sport, the majority of the time you spend training will not be the athletic side of it. It will be training the skills you need for the sport. If you go to a boxing gym,
Mm.
you'll be doing fitness stuff for sure, but I guarantee you a good boxing coach, as well as working on your fitness, he will spend more time working on your actual technique and understanding of the sport than he would your physical fitness.
Sure, and granted, and I understand what you're saying. Nevertheless, a golfer doesn't have anybody trying to stop him from hitting the golf ball. There's no defense. He doesn't have the only thing there is in golf is that swing, and I cannot resolve in my mind that being considered an athletic sport. It's not it's not the most unathletic sport that there could be, but you compare it to something like, the only way that I could see my way clear to seeing that it would be considered athletic is if sports in terms of their athleticism existed on a spectrum, with um, football being on probably the, I God, what else would there be? Or like American football being like maybe a 2, and a golf being a 10 or something. Like, I don't know. I just don't think that I just don't think it's the same, despite what you just said, which is a very good point. The accuracy and all that stuff goes into any sport. You can't be
Well, I mean,
You have.
there is no better athlete on the planet than a Russian ballet dancer. And I'm not being facetious, there just isn't. Like, everything they do, pristine coordination and conditioning in order to move their legs in the unusual ways to be able to stand on their toes. You can take pretty much any athlete, make them do ballet training, and they will be exhausted. But equally, that's because as an athlete, your body adapts for certain things. My my hypothesis here is if you took like Clay Matthews, I very much doubt that he would be able to hit a ball like golf swing a ball as far as Tiger Woods. And I don't think that's just a technical thing. Tiger Woods' actual body has been sculpted by years of training to perfect that swing, and not just that swing, but multiple swings. Because I can't imagine there's just one swing you learn as a golfer.
Oh, yeah. Granted.
Like every athlete does things differently. Like that's why the people say like Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor was a dumb concept because the two don't train for the same sport. Even though fighting has more overlap than MMA and boxing has more overlap than MMA and golf, the fact of the matter was that Conor McGregor fought with longer rounds but fewer rounds. He was an explosive fighter. He never had to worry about going 12 rounds, and obviously that fatigues you. But in the same way, if you put let's say hypothetically Floyd Mayweather had the skills to be in an MMA fight, he would probably have trouble just because the sheer explosive nature of the sport as opposed to boxing, which is more of a marathon. Like your body adapts to what it adapts to. Like if you power lifted every day of your life, you would be strong as hell, but you might not be able to manage like a 5 mile run. Like,
Right.
so I mean, golfers are athletes, but I think the only thing I can really suggest to you is like go to a golf school. I'm sure you probably learned something if you went to classes and did their training and stuff like that. There's probably a lot of athletic stuff that like we're not seeing as well. I guarantee you it'd probably be fairly tiring, because I don't think people that play golf as a hobby should be compared to professional golfers.
Oh no, definitely not.
Like I don't for a second believe that like Vince McMahon and Donald Trump are sculpted to play golf in the same way that like Tiger Woods is. And I keep saying him because he is the only golfer I know.
I I was here. I was going to bring up Jack Nicklaus, which didn't seem to me to be nearly as good a physical shape as Tiger Woods. I don't know. Well, I'll have to I'll have to think of an interesting follow up to this, where Stand and Stan goes to a golf school and comes back and goes, I was wrong. It's athletic. By the way, I want to interject something for the sake of being complete. You had been talking earlier about something, and I wanted to let you know. Math is a singular word, you blimey.
No, it's not.
It is.
It's not though.
It is.
No, it's not, and I'll tell you why. Because
Go ahead.
the full word is not mathematic. It is mathematics. You learn mathematics.
Okay.
Thereby, the abbreviation is maths.
No, the truncated version is math.
No,
because, yes, it is. Because when we say, okay, so when you say metaphysics is the word, but you don't say metaphysicals.
yeah, but if you've got a bunch of canines, you don't call them dog. You call them dogs.
Yeah, because you have a bunch of them. There isn't a whole bunch of different kinds of math.
Yes, there is.
No, there's different classifications. But there's only one subject called math.
It's the subject that encompasses many subjects.
No, it's not many subjects. It's not different subjects. It's all part of the same subject.
You got trigonometry, and then you got multiplication, long division. You got your algebra.
Yeah, it's all numbers.
Listen, just because you guys perverted and bastardized the English language, because you're all just you never got over your British overlords. You're like, oh, we're going to change the
No,
language.
no. I'll tell you what happened is we made English a cool language to speak. That's what it is.
What it did was you thought, wow, people are. You were like, wow, Americans. Well, I guess we're all just stupid. What's a path? Call it a sidewalk because it's at the side of the road and you walk on it. I'm fucking like street lamp. Just
No, I'll tell you what it is. We're sick and tired of all this aristocratic. Oh, hello, we're gonna walk over down the path. We're gonna go on the path. I can't keep a straight face and do this, Andrew. God damn it.
fucking aristocratic, mate. Mate, I'm from East London. I'm not in the slightest bit aristocratic. I just can speak English.
But you never. Yeah,
Do you
but
want to know something?
no.
You want to know something delightful about the whole concept of this podcast?
Yes.
You're not even a Yank. It's just we don't care and call all Americans Yanks.
Can I tell you something? In my whole life, I have never heard of that being a thing to call somebody.
You haven't.
Never. Nope.
It's any British person over the age of 25 just refers to Americans as the Yanks.
I had no idea. I had absolutely no clue. We don't really know that over here now because I haven't known. God, I don't think I've ever known a British person in my real life, like in my physical surroundings, which I consider. I know you are. You're my Harvey. But no, I actually consider that a shame because I like British people. I talk to them online and stuff, and they're and play video games with them and shit, and they're cool. Does anybody over? You don't like British people? Well, I consider it. Me, I have the sort of
It's a novel.
what is it?
Exotic.
Yes, exotic. It gets me back to my Anglo-Saxon roots. Even though I'm not, but yes, it is exotic. Oh, they have different accents.
You're probably not Anglo-Saxon.
Fuck, what was I gonna? What's that?
You're probably not Anglo-Saxon. No British person is. They all want you to think
I'm not.
They're not.
I'm not even close. Oh God, what was I gonna say? I was talking about British people, or no, I wasn't. I was talking about. Oh, does anybody? Okay, absolutely nobody ever. It's probably since the 1950s has called anybody a limey before. The only reason I know about it is from the movie "It's a Mad, 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 Mad World," where the guy said they were in him and Mr. Hawthorne were in the middle of that girly fight that they had, and he goes, "Come back here, you blimey!" And I thought that was fucking funny when I was a kid.
I think it's something to do with the British eating a lot of limes on ships or something to stop them from getting scurvy or something like that.
Andrew, I can tell you exactly what it was.
Yep.
No, it is. It's because British sailors used to eat limes to ward off scurvy. And the funny thing about this is something that was an insult, calling people limes, and I don't think it was America that did. I think it was whoever the fuck else you guys were at war with. Probably Spain or something. Yeah, probably Spain or France, but they started calling them limeys because they would carry limes on the ships and they would eat the limes because and they wouldn't get scurvy. They wouldn't get a disease that everybody else got because they didn't eat limes, but that turned into an insult that they actually had a remedy for the disease. So one of the only recognizable insults for British people that I've ever heard is actually acknowledging that they were smart enough to deal with a disease that everybody else got.
There's in Britain, one of the ways you can swear at someone is you can either put your middle finger up at them, as everyone knows, all worldwide, but you can also put two fingers up at someone, your index, and that comes from our long-standing feud with the French, in which the French, I can't remember who was the one doing this, but either the British or the French, it was probably the French, used to cut off prisoners of war, like archers' fingers, like index and middle finger, because it meant that they couldn't fire arrows at them, which meant that as soon as we sort of got wind of this, we immediately just started sticking two fingers up at them as an insult, because we had our fingers.
That's pretty good. Let me tell you a quick story. Some friends of mine had just gotten out of a Morrissey concert in San Francisco. I think it was in San Francisco, and he was walking back to his limousine or whatever the hell he drove in, and they stood out. They had been like told where he was going to out, or they knew he was going to come out, or whatever. And he came out, and they all did like fan thing, and he looked over at them, and he did that. He held up the two fingers, and they said, "He's giving a peace sign."
Oh, it's so good. Because like Churchill, he did it to mean victory, not realizing that it meant fuck you. So it was great
No.
because it was simultaneously a V for victory and also fuck you, Uncle Hitler. We I assume you know the myth. It's not true. It's a myth that Hitler only had one testicle.
I've never heard that.
Well, that's something that has was like commonly thought here, and I don't know
Hmm.
how widespread it is in America. And the whole reason is because the British just had this song that we made up to insult him, going, Hitler has only got one ball, the other is in the Albert Hall. And people just took that as fact for some reason.
That's funny. What you told me a bunch of stuff about Graver. What can I tell you about America that you might not know? God, I don't know. It's fucking dull as dishwater over here. Oh, I'll tell you one thing. Maybe this is a bit of a segue from what we're talking about, but what we're talking about, like rude gestures and that kind of thing. I'm sure you've heard over here the whole controversy about people kneeling for the national anthem at football games.
Yeah, weird.
Okay, so what's that?
I just find it weird that kneeling down is considered a sign of disrespect, when in my country it means that you're a fucking beta that just bends the knee for authority.
You're exactly on to kind of what I think about that, because we're forgetting about the reasons why they're kneeling down. Put that to one side for it. We have a long-standing tradition in this country of dissent being really, like considered a very good thing,
Hmm.
and there are two ways that we go about doing it: violence and peaceful demonstration. And it's usually peaceful demonstration that's advocated here over like riots and that sort of.
Yeah.
And that, to me, kneeling for the national anthem. How that started was a quarterback called Colin Kaepernick started doing it. Initially he sat down during it. He sat down during the national anthem, and somebody got a hold of him and told him that's disrespectful to the flag. That's disrespectful to I guess, the military or whatever. And he said, "Oh, okay, I'll kneel. Kneeling's respectful, but it's not standing all the way up. I'm still making my point without being directly disrespectful
Yeah.
to the flag and all
Yeah.
that." And that's what he did. And everybody just fucking lost their shit over it. And I'm like, I don't care why he was doing it. Whatever it is that they're doing that for, that's a perfectly acceptable way of expressing yourself
Made the
in
effort.
a meaningful national stage. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like he made the effort to make it more polite.
Yes, he did, and I think that's totally overlooked by knee jerks who were just, "No, he's disrespecting the flag and the military and fuck that." Hey, you want to talk about hello?
Hello, hello.
Uh-oh. Am I back on?
You're fading a little bit. Are we going to the next episode?
Would you like to?
Yeah, sure. So let's do
Okay.
just a run through of this, being like, bye bye everybody.
Gotcha. Go ahead.
So yeah, closing thoughts on golf and British superiority.
I honestly, in my heart of hearts, I do not consider golf to be an athletic sport. I consider it a sport. I do not consider it to be an athletic sport in the same way that football is an athletic sport. British superiority, you're definitely superior to the
French.
absolute, I had something funny to say about that. And now it's totally out of my. So fuck you, fuck Great Britain. Just kidding.
Join us again next time where we're going to be arguing about Birdman and Marvel movies, and remember to tune in to episode 10 of the Limey and the Yank, in which Gabriel will be recounting his experiences in golf class.
I'm going to the class right now!